Miss Fisher, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, AJ?
I'm doing fine as well. I'm so happy that you were able to talk with me on this podcast series. You have a unique story when it comes to teaching during the pandemic. So let's rewind a little bit. March 11th, March
hmm
2020, when school shut down, what was your initial reaction?
Initially, I believed that it was only going to be shut down for about a week, believe it or not. I was shopping with another teacher in BJ's, actually, and a woman had passed us and she said, "Get everything you can. They just shut down the schools."
The toilet paper hoarders.
Right? We got the bottled water and the toilet paper.
Yeah.
So I remember my friend, another teacher, the Spanish teacher, she was shocked. And honestly, we hadn't had a spring break. And I was like, yes, because I thought that it was going to be shut for a week. So I'm still ashamed of that reaction. I thought we were going to get a week break.
So you only thought it was going to be a week. What happened?
Right.
What happened after that?
Well, we instantly went into survival mode at the school I was at St. Francis. It was amazing where the public schools had to scramble and get laptops to the kids and things. We were already ready. And my class in particular was ready because of Class Dojo. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a tool to use to communicate with the parents, and it's online. And honestly, I've been using it since day one of teaching, and it made all the difference in the world because my parents were already used to communicating back and forth through email on Class Dojo and checking Class Dojo for assignments. So it was overnight. I emailed my parents. I said, "School's shut." The kids were already one-to-one with their laptops, and they were ready to go. So I started posting things in Google Classroom, posting assignments and going the next day. So our school really got it together quickly, where it took some public schools quite a while to get it together and get things distributed.
You got it together quickly. You were able to adapt to this virtual modality. Being at a private school, you had the resources. But what was so difficult about these last 2 years?
Oh my gosh. How much time do we have?
Max out time. Give it to me straight.
Well, obviously, 1 week turned into 1 month, and the uncertainty of when were we going back. Things were changing daily, and that was not good for the teachers. It wasn't good for the students. I still feel so badly for the students and what they went through. They went through everything we did: the insecurity, the fear, the sickness, the tiredness. They went through it all, and they're little people, they're young. So it was tough. Grading online was ridiculous. Keeping them engaged was ridiculous. I mean, I felt like I was performing every night. I was trying to be Jay Leno every night. Every day.
So you were running the show, but it was difficult because you had never done it before.
Of course, right.
What were the students facing? We talk about learning loss now. We talk about, is it safe for them to even be in the classroom now, which most of them are.
Right.
What were they facing? What type of straits were there?
So a lot of them didn't understand why they couldn't go outside. I had a lot of students where we served a community that was primarily Black and Hispanic, and some of my Hispanic families would not let the children outside for many reasons. Some felt like it was a ploy, and government officials were looking for people that were here illegally, and some just did not want the students exposed to anything. So they literally, I would try and have lessons where the students would get outside a little bit and get some fresh air and come back in. Go find me a leaf. Go find me evidence of rain damage or something like that. And some students raised their hand and said, "Ms. Fisher, I'm sorry, I can't go outside. My parents won't let me go outside." So they were literally in the house for a year and a half, almost 2 years.
The students were in the house, and it sounds like the parents and the families were nervous about. I did hear those stories about Hispanic kids thinking they would be abducted by ICE. It was a really, really scary time. How was it for you? I talked to a lot of teachers who say that it was the most difficult year of their teaching lives. They weren't able to give good lessons. I mean, they're doing double the work and double duty. What type of toll did this pandemic have on you the past couple of months?
Absolutely. I worked harder than I ever have. I usually am the first at school and the last to leave. So when people would say, oh, teachers just want off, that was ridiculous. We were working harder. We would have kids online for about 2, 3 hours and then give them a break and take a break ourselves and, do something either around the house or whatever. Um, and then go back to teaching. And it felt like we were on call because parents would email us, admin would email us late at night, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 o'clock at night, because of the hours that we were teaching and being home. So it was tiring. It was exhausting trying to create assignments that students would complete, would be engaged in, would complete so you could give them a grade was difficult. Nobody wants to fail students during the pandemic, yet you had some students checking out either because they were tired, they stayed up too late playing video games. Nobody was home to observe them and watch over them. So they, took advantage of it. So there was so much going on and still is. As far as COVID concerns, I hated hearing people say, oh, kids can't transmit it, because kids were transmitting it last year in my school. And definitely now that kids are back in school, they feel like this false sense of security that everything's okay.
Yeah.
Today, I had to tell 2 kids, you're way too close, get apart from each other. And these are, 5th graders. So I can't even imagine kindergartners and first graders trying to keep them socially distant.
How do they respond to that in the classroom? What exactly do the kids do in the classroom in these scenarios now that we've been back in school for a few weeks now? What is it like from them? What are you seeing from them?
Well, they do not stop talking, that's for sure. But they were doing that before the pandemic.
Now they can do it in person again now.
Exactly. They miss their friends. They didn't see them for a year and a half. So I know the first week of school, I had to just sit back and let them talk to their friends. And then trying to get the classroom culture established took a lot longer because you don't want to impose rules or procedures when they're just, they're getting their feet wet again, trying to socialize. They they talk to each other when they're working on projects together way too close. I'm like, we are still in a pandemic move. So they think I'm mean. They definitely think I'm mean because I try and keep them apart from each other. And when they eat breakfast in the classroom in the morning, I have them not talk. That's what we did during the pandemic. When your mask is off, you don't talk because that's just more chance of you chewing and talking and spraying something.
Mean Miss Fisher is just trying to keep everybody safe. Believe me.
Right. Right.
She doesn't want to spread any more germs. We have to remember that this is a global health crisis.
Exactly.
And we've been through this 18, 19 months now. You've even said to me that some of your kids contracted the virus.
Mhm.
What's that like as a teacher?
It's frightening. I keep reminding myself that I'm vaccinated, but then I think about, you are not going to get me emotional. I think about the breakthrough cases of people that are vaccinated and still die. So it's just frightening that with kids getting it, and then you're worrying about the kids, and because of HIPAA laws and things like that, we can't call and check in on them. So that dynamic of what the teacher used to be isn't quite happening now. So to know that my kids have been out for 5, 6, 7 days and I can't call and check on them is difficult.
You worry?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had one come back today and I was super excited and I, they look at me like I'm creepy, but you know, mean, creepy, whatever. I'm just happy that they're there and healthy.
It seems as though this is taking its toll on our teachers. And now you're back in the classroom. And like I mentioned before, as a global health crisis, health wise, how are you doing? What keeps you moving forward?
Oh, thanks for asking. I am trying to, you heard a lot about self-care last year. Um, it's real. My daughter used to tease me. She said if she ever was taking a nap, I wanted a dossier of why. Why are you tired? You know, what have you done and accomplished ahead of time? So changing my A-type personality to resting and saying no and knowing my limits has helped tremendously. I had high blood pressure going into the pandemic and checked it the other day and it's doing much better.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. You hit on one point that I always do like to talk about a little bit with mental health and keeping your sanity. And over 18, 19 months, and who knows how long some of this debate will play out, it truly is needed and vital. So continue to take care of your mental health. What are some of the inspirations that get you to keep going into the classroom each day?
um, hmm, I get, happy mail, I call it. I get happy mail from parents saying, this is what my daughter said to me at dinner, or this is what um, my son shared today. Just knowing that you're trying to make a difference. Um, I know that may sound trite, but for some kids, last year I read something on social media and it said, imagine if your students had to go through the pandemic without you. And that kind of rocked my world because I cared so much about them and was doing so much for them. I thought, gosh, what if they were just home? What if they weren't having online classes? What if they, you know, had a teacher that passed from COVID? We lost, our school in particular lost a lot of teachers, parents, grandparents, and the pastor of our school.
Wow.
So just what takes me back to school is the kids trying to make it a better place for them.
You've had colleagues pass away from this virus,
Mhm.
actual faculty members who taught at the school, who taught
Right,
at St. Francis.
right. We had a beloved uh, teacher who, if I'm not mistaken, he was there for 12 years. I only knew him for 3, and he had just left to be principal in Baltimore
Mm.
and contracted COVID and passed away. Um, and Brother Chris, the school has been in the news. We were hit particularly hard. Brother Chris was our pastor, and he was wonderful with the kids. And though he was 52, I believe, though COVID was not written as the cause of death, it was pneumonia. He was a very fit man, continued our outreach of feeding uh, people in the neighborhood. He did that, and our principal did that for 2 years during COVID. So while I feared for both of them, because there were the numbers of people coming to get food were, it was incredible. They did it in Langley Park and also in our parking lot.
Mhm.
And Brother Chris gave his life for other people.
Mm. That's something that I think you're not necessarily doing, but I want to thank you for giving your time and your resources and all that you give to these students over the last couple of almost years now. I want to thank you for the job that you're doing, because we all know that it can be a thankless job. Who would you like to thank right now? Do you have mentors or someone who helped you get into the teaching profession that you want to take the time to
Oh,
spotlight?
thank you. So many wonderful teachers in Indiana, wonderful
The Hoosiers.
professors.
Sorry, I had to
Yeah.
say it. I had to say it. Go Hoosiers.
Yeah. Indiana produces some great people.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, the wonderful teachers at Marian University and the first teachers that helped me when I was at Fishback. They taught me to um, comply without compromise, to do what is being asked of me to do, but to always never ever compromise on taking care of our kids, you know, educating them, feeding them, getting them shoes, getting them what they need. So to all of the Kathys and Monica's, I really appreciate that. And all of the Dr. Kathys, they're wonderful.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Fisher, for that emotional testimony today and helping us realize that this is a real situation in a lot of these schools, and the job that you're doing does not go unnoticed. I want to thank you so much. My special guest, Ms. Fisher, Ms. Alicia Fisher, you teach in Montgomery County Public Schools now, and for the last 2 years during the pandemic, you're at St. Francis International School in Silver Spring, Maryland. Is there anything else that you would like to leave with us?
Just thank you very much for taking your time to talk to teachers and let people realize what we're actually going through and what we're doing for their children. Thank you.